Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend, the hilarious and free-spirited Anastasia Washington, one of the funniest ladies in LA right now. I'm having her on the show today. We're just gonna bullshit about this crazy time, this quarantine coronavirus bullshit that's going on in our lives, and just vent and talk. Nothing really set up, structured, although I do have a few things planned that I'm going to bring up. But other than that, that's about it. Anastasia's a lot of fun. I truly adore her, and she is just fucking awesome. And when she performs in LA after all the quarantine bullshit is done, go see her. She is hilarious. She plays at Flappers a lot. So, here is my new interview with Anastasia Washington.
Hello.
Anastasia.
Hey.
What's up, girlfriend?
The use for everybody right now.
Oh my god. What a clusterfuck we're in, huh?
My mom wakes up every day and she goes, I still can't believe this is like a real. I think it's like a joke. I'm like, I know.
It's like part 9/11 and part reboot of that old show V, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's happened.
It's like a weird apocalyptic attack on the world right now.
Yeah, they're like the laziest apocalypse ever.
I'm just fucking worried, like, what's going to happen, you know? I mean, we've already lost a handful of minor celebrities to this thing, but I just don't know where it's going to go from here, you know?
Yeah, it is quite scary.
It's very scary. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I know, it's funny, we lost the 80s actor Mark Bloom the other day. I reached out to him back in January. At first he said no to me, but then he told me to try back again in June. And then he dies of this coronavirus, and I'm pretty devastated because he was the only one left that I could reach out to for an interview because I love Desperately Seeking Susan. It's the 35th anniversary of the movie, and fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do now, you know?
Yeah, it's so sad, and we have some other people reporting that they have it now too. So I don't know. It's scary, and it's weird because for a while it was all these people that we couldn't put like a face or a name to. It was just like victims that we didn't know. And then the other day, somebody from my acting class lost his mom to it, and I was like, oh my god, it's so close to us. It's so you can't even. Your neighbor,
Somebody you knew from acting classes, mother?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Somebody from my acting class, one of my acting classes, posted that he lost his mom this week to it, and I was just like, I can't even imagine. It's just like it puts a face to the disease, really.
Yeah. As terrible as that is, it actually gives me a little bit of closure because for a while there, I was sensing a conspiracy that people were dying of other deaths, but like the politicians were paying the press to say that they died of the coronavirus. But I think, that was my conspiracy for a little bit there. But now that you've proven the coronavirus is real.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like easy for us to distance ourselves from it for some reason. Like when it's just when it's not somebody and then somebody, and you're like, or even just these famous actors getting it, and these famous actors dying from it. You're like, oh my god, that's a person I grew up knowing, even on TV or whatever. And you're like, oh, I guess this is happening. We can't deny it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
I do think though it's going to be good for a lot of us though, because it's having being quarantined, it's going to make everyone a little bit more humble and a little bit more grateful for what they have, because ever since 9/11, just the world has become so selfish and greedy that I really think that this is going to change things a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I think you can choose to make this time, whatever you want to make of it, and I personally want to make of it just focusing on the things that really make me happy, and that the people that I love happy and well and, healthy. Like, I think you can choose to either mope around about it, which I've had those moments. I've been watching a lot of reality TV, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I can still have my moments of that, but also I can still, come out of it with new priorities or just, different stuff. I don't know. I've been cleaning my house a lot, too.
Yeah, it's what we've been doing here a lot, too. Reality TV, yeah, my mom's been watching that show. It's kind of like American Idol, but they, wear, a mask, and you can't see who the singer is.
Oh, the masked singer or something like that, right?
Yeah, and they got those little chipmunk voices or whatever when they're wearing the mask. It's bizarre.
I heard it's a great show, and I haven't ever watched it, but I've heard, so many people are like, it's really surprisingly good, and I'm like, really? Because it looks real silly, but, well, I'll probably get to it now. We have all the time in the world. I had to finish Tiger King, and now I'm on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're getting through all the pop culture.
Yeah. Yeah, have you been? I haven't seen you post many videos. Have you made videos since you've been quarantined?
I have collaborated with a couple of my friends on stuff, and stuff is gonna kind of start coming out, but it's been slow. I started a few little things with some of my friends that we hadn't done stuff before, and so it's been taking a little bit longer than I think that we all thought it was going to take to get some of the videos out, but it's coming. It's a lot of talking on Zoom and then going, wait, did we do what we were supposed to do today to get, to get this done? Oh no, we're still one step away from getting it done. So it'll happen. I'm going to get some videos and stuff up, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. I was so devastated. I had a big old trip to L.A. planned in May to go to Monsterpalooza and the Hollywood show, and they've both been canceled. Yeah. Fuck, I was just so devastated. They were going to have a Shining reunion and Weird Science reunion at Monsterpalooza, and they were going to have a Grease reunion at the Hollywood show, and so many people were going to be there, and I was just excited. Hopefully... Yeah, oh, go ahead.
It'll happen. No, I was saying, I mean, a lot of stuff has been canceled, and I was super bummed. We had some really good panels coming to WonderCon, and I had a whole bunch of different stand-up shows that I was really excited about. And at first I got real sad about it, but then I was like, it's going to happen. There's just a different date now, and everybody's going to be needing these things when we come out of this, so it's not like these things aren't going to happen, but it is a bummer. I'm so sorry. That sucks.
Yeah, I was just devastated about that. They're going to be bringing the Hollywood show back in August, and then Son of Monsterpalooza is in September. I just hope they happen. I was going to be going out there in October for Shriek Fest, the horror festival out there. The promoter, she's a frequent guest on the podcast. She's been wanting me to go there for a couple of years now, and this year was the year that I was planning on going, and I just hope it happens,
Yeah, fingers crossed that. I know we have at least a month, if not 2 months more of this, but fingers crossed that towards the end of the year, towards fall and summer, we'll have stuff going back to normal. We need it. We need normal.
We do need normal, Oh my God, there's all these cons this summer that I was going to be going to in the Bay Area and meeting guests of mine and stuff. Yeah, I just hope I get to do it. I hope 2020 is not canceled, because that would be pretty fucked, to start a new year, a new decade, and everything is canceled,
Yeah, I mean, it really does suck, and I think about like my nieces and my nephew who, this is their like childhood, and they've got like it must be insane, and like this is somebody's senior year, this is somebody's
this is
freshman year of college, this is somebody's like and I can't imagine,
This is their Kennedy assassination, their Challenger explosion. They're witnessing,
and the fact that their whole life has stopped, and can you imagine if you were like a senior this year and you couldn't walk across the stage, you couldn't go to school, if you were like an athlete and you were going to get drafted this year, you couldn't even perform, like go to a game and get drafted. I mean, like all this stuff that you've been working for your whole life. I mean, like that to me, I'm like, I have to put it in perspective. I will always keep trucking on because, my career is that way. I'll always truck on. But some of these people, they have like timely stuff that's happening to them. And I'm like, oh, I can't imagine. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been a great time to podcast a lot. That's all I've been doing. I've got so many great shows coming up with cult movie stars and stuff. I've been doing it all month long. I call this March Madness, and today's the last. Today's the last day of it, and then April starts. I only got the next 4 days of this week booked, and then the following week, I've only got 2 booked. But I want to keep going, do some powerhouse shit. Like today, I interviewed Howard the Duck, and that was pretty interesting.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie in theaters. I should know that I did.
My brother rented it when the first week it came out on VHS, and we watched it at home. And my dad cracked up when he saw when she takes the duck condom out of the wallet. He was cracking up, and I was like, "Dad, what is that?" And he says, "Don't worry, son. I'll tell you someday what it is." I found out on my own.
From Coneheads.
Coneheads?
Yeah, I think that's how I learned about a condom. I was like, what? Then one day I thought it was going to be funny for me to actually chew a condom because I saw it on Coneheads, and I was like, it's not fun. It's not good. It's not a good thing.
I haven't seen Coneheads in a long time. Was there a condom joke in the movie?
Yeah, she thought that somebody told her that was bubble gum, and so she throughout the whole movie was like popping, like chewing condoms as bubble gum.
God, it's been a long time. I don't remember.
It was, and then she would just be like blowing bubbles, but they would just be like the condom.
Fuck, I forgot about that.
I was just like, what the hell? But my dad used to think it was really funny. Like, we used to go to this place called Fedco for federal employees. It's like a Costco for federal employees. I don't think they have it anymore, but and he would think it would be funny to like tell my sister hold this, and then all at once she would like look down and she'd be holding like a box of condoms and she'd freak out. I mean, it wouldn't work for the other 2 sisters, but my one sister, she's very like no. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I just remember, the daughter, she like eats that whole Subway sandwich. I remember that. Mm-hmm. I remember so many celebrity cameos. Drew Carey was in it. Kramer and George Costanza's in it. A lot of people. I remember seeing Garrett Morris as a Conehead in space, and I was cracking up at that to see a black Conehead.
Yeah, it was. I loved that age of comedy.
Oh, we both do. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was what I grew up with, watching like comedy specials, listening to comedy albums. And so like Conehead, Land Shark, all that kind of stuff was just like my jam.
Land Shark, yeah.
I used to have nightmares about Land Shark, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, Chevy Chase brought that back when he hosted that Fox show. He brought it back where he's a dinosaur, right?
Oh.
I can't remember what he said instead of Land Shark, but I do remember this. The woman was telling him to go away and he was like, "Oh, I'm only Barney, ma'am."
That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. I was watching this special about Richard Pryor the other day too, and I just remembered one of my favorite sketches of all time was Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
They're talking about word association,
Yeah.
and I quote it all the time, and people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, you guys were comedy nerds when you were kids, I guess."
That was the best one.
I'm like, it's
Tar Baby.
it's really funny, like his escalation and his like expressions.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Pryor's expressions, like, were everything in that. And my dad used to quote it all the time. He'd be like, "Dead honky," and I'd be like, "Oh."
I've been trying to get Richard Pryor's widow on for the last year and a half. She almost did it about 6 months ago, but something fell through. She's a crazy, eccentric lady, I'll tell you. She used to be an actress. She played Richard Benjamin's wife in The Sunshine Boys, and she was an actress in the 70s, and then she gave up acting. But I'm hoping to get her on this year because I want to talk about Richard Pryor's movie career. Everyone talks about what a great stand-up he was. No one really talks about his movie career, and he did do some great movies. I mean, some people thought that he made horrible movies, but I thought he made some good ones.
He did. He had some ones that he actually took a lot of like risks and really were trying to make like what we would call like indie, like kind of experimental movies, and he didn't get enough credit for them. But I think that's why I really liked the documentary. I think it was on Amazon, maybe, but it was like the last days of Richard Pryor, and it talked to his various girlfriends and wives, and it had him saying like stuff about his career too, and I thought it was so interesting. I watched that one, and then they had one, Last Days of Phil Hartman, which was, just tragic. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, I talked to a director who gave Phil Hartman his first role back in 1978 in this half Australian, half American movie called Stunt Rock. Brian Trenchard Smith, who directed Leprechaun 3 and Dead End Drive-In and Night of the Demons, all these exploitation movies. Night of the Demons 2, actually, I should say. He did this movie. It was a co-production between Australia and America. He went out to L.A. He went to go see the Groundlings, and he put Phil Hartman in this movie, and a couple other Groundlings as well and stuff. And he knew that Phil Hartman was going to be a star. He just knew it. He said he had that spark about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like a natural talent. And that's what people were saying in the documentary about him. Just like his whole being just screamed, "I'm a star." Like even the way he got into like Groundlings was like he was in the audience and they asked him to come up. They just asked a random person to come up because that was part of their show, and he came up and like blew them out of the water. And they were like, "What, you want to join the team?" Like, and that's insanity. Like that never happens for anybody, even people that are in classes there. So,
yeah.
That's just how insanely talented he was. So it's a pity. I remember when it happened being very upset because I was very much like into his comedy. So I was very sad for that.
I was too. He died like a couple weeks before Frank Sinatra did, and it was just a bad month. I was a freshman in high school during that time, and it was just a bad month. But yeah, speaking of comedy, though, I was watching this interview that Jerry Lewis did back in the early '80s, and he talked about the difference between a comedy team on stage and a comedy team in movies. Two guys that are paired up for a series of movies. He said the difference is that when you get Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon for The Odd Couple, you don't have to have them deeply concerned for one another like a comedy team on stage does, because the Neil Simon material is so rich, and Neil cannot put the love of two men on paper. You can perform it, but you can't have that, that kind of chemistry, And
Yeah.
I thought it made sense, what he said,
Yeah.
I thought though that Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon was kind of a bad example though, because they did care for one another. They were close friends off stage. But if he had brought up Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, and stuff, they were not that close off stage. That would have been a better example, I felt. But it made sense.
Yeah. But they also, I feel like they did, one or two? No, they did at least 2 movies together, right?
4 movies, but 2 of them were super popular.
Yeah, I mean, so they have to have some kind of baseline friendship. I mean, you just have to, when you're spending that much time with people, or you hate each other, and then you're really, really acting.
Yeah, like Walter Matthau and George Burns in the Sunshine Boys. They played these 2 guys who were together 40 years as a comedy team, and they could not stand each other,
Yeah.
And Neil Simon had written that play based on this really obscure comedy team during the vaudeville days. I can't remember their names, but he modeled it after them, and that's where the story came from.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, old comedy is great. I was watching something.
I love it.
I was watching something the other day. I'm trying to remember what it was, and the magic between these guys was just unparalleled. And I was like, this is what needs to come back in comedy. Comedy has just become so contained in corporate now, in film. This is what comedy needs to be now.
Yeah, and I think it's they're trying to go back to that. I've even seen that people are making comedy albums now. I had a friend that I do stand-up comedy with. She came up and produced her own comedy album, and I was like, this is back in the day, and I love it.
You talk about Samantha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, she is so hilarious. We did a podcast a year and a half ago, and she was very happy to talk about her grandfather and stuff, and then we got into a long comedy discussion and stuff. She's great. I wanted to have her back on to promote this album and stuff, right? And she's like, I will come back on at some point in the future, but right now I got to focus on the podcast that got, millions of viewers and stuff, though. But I do like you. I like your podcast. You're an absolute sweetheart. I will come back on, I promise. And I thought that was very nice of her.
She's sweet. She's a sweetie, and I'm so proud of her album. And one of the last shows I did before all of this stuff happened was her show that she runs at Hamburger Mary's. So that was a real treasure to be one of my last shows for a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. So you've been doing a lot of shows at Flappers, right?
Yeah, Flappers has been booking me pretty regularly, which is nice. And I've been trying to do other venues because I haven't done that many venues in a bit. So I did Bar Lubitsch, which is a really nice spot, to Flappers pretty regularly. I did Hamburger Mary's for the first time, right before all this, which is it's an interesting space, and I was supposed to have a show at H Club. It got postponed because of all this, and had some other cool stuff coming up, so it's kind of a bummer. Including one which was going to be really cool because somebody comes up with a problem or something, and then you solve it with you just come up with a set from your advice to them about it. So it's kind of that was going to be fun, but it'll happen. It's just postponed. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're all fine.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you this. Back in 2015, I auditioned for the Burbank Comedy Festival that they have at Flappers every year.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had just gotten out of the hospital after my accident. I was very delicate and frail, and I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. But I'm glad I did it this year, though, because it was a good learning tool for me. I did pretty good. I must have I must have been a runner-up or something. I didn't make the group, but I must have been a runner-up because I got huge laughs that night, and
That's awesome.
I made a good friend of mine, one of my few friends in comedy that I met when I was still in the Bay Area. Her name's Kristen Frisk. She's based up in Sacramento. She started doing stand-up in the Bay Area just before I did, and then by the time I got into it, she was in Sacramento, and she's still there now. And she is just a national treasure of a lady, and she's a stage actress. She does at least one play a year, and she's got a husband and kids, and she's just awesome. She's the very definition of Southern hospitality. She's a country girl.
Aw, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think, it's weird, because, like, with stand-up comedy, you have to laugh even on days that you aren't feeling it, and I haven't really ever had one of those until recently. I had, like, a bad day, and I was like, I don't want to go up, and that, like, I didn't feel up for it, and I went up, and I did it, and I got laughs, but it didn't matter how many laughs I got because I was in a bad mood. You're like, whatever, and then I watched back the tape, and I was like, you didn't do as bad as you thought. It was just like I was all in my brain and just not feeling it, and that's hard. It's hard because people don't realize that we're not always in good moods, and we still have to do it. We're not always in the prime of our like we're not feeling good. We're not doing that, and you still have to go up and be entertaining, and people will have their opinion of it no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Have you met my friend Joy yet, who's been doing shows at Flappers?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Joy Eileen. She works in the kitchen at the Comedy Store, and she has a podcast where she massages her guests, and they tell very dark and deep secrets when she's massaging them.
That's hilarious. I want to be on her podcast so bad now.
You should.
My shoulders are tight.
You should. I think you would be a perfect match for her. Joy is very special, I'll tell you. She has no filter. She says whatever's on her mind, and she doesn't mind anyone saying anything on their mind to her. She's got a husband in the Navy, and she's got 2 sons, and she's about 38, 39, and she's been doing comedy maybe about 5-6 years or something like that. But she is hilarious, and she's just awesome. And last year I had her on here 3 times because I enjoy talking to her because she's just so unique,
Yeah.
There's no other way of putting it.
Well, I mean, just based on the podcast concept itself, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Has to be a pretty interesting person for that. That's fun. Yeah. I mean, and now, I mean, her podcast probably can't go on right now, unfortunately. But podcast is a way that's keeping on comedy and keeping on people creative during this crazy time. So,
Yeah. I think the episodes that she's been posting, I think they're from just before the quarantine happened. She posts them like once a week or something. And I think you're right. She's been posting about how bored she is and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to not be bored during this time. And, a lot of people are like, don't feel guilty if you don't want to do anything. And absolutely, if you don't want to do anything, don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel guilty about having lazy days or lazy times. But for me, I always do a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's almost driving me crazy not to have stuff to do, so I have to find outlets. And I was feeling a little guilt about that because people were like, well, I just don't want to do anything and I don't want anybody to guilt me. And I'm like, I'm not guilting you, but like, I feel like for me, I need to do things. So like, I don't want to feel guilty if I do things, and I don't want to feel guilty if I don't, like during this time. And I think we have to give each other a little bit of grace for that, like,
Yeah.
whatever gets you through this right now, whether it's making a bazillion episodes, making no episodes, need to, for sure. You know?
Yeah.
Because nobody was prepared for this. Nobody knows what we were gonna do if we had all the time in the world stuck in a house. Nobody knew.
Yeah. And then,
fortunately,
I know, and all this happens about a week or two after Lent starts. Can you guess what I gave up for Lent?
What? What did you give up for Lent? Oh, God.
Masturbation.
Oh, have fun with that.
This is my 7th year in a row doing that, and I think it's my last, because all I do is podcast and smoke weed. I am fucking bored and fucking horny.
Yeah, I always give up idiots every year for Lent. I'm a really bad Catholic.
Wait, you give up what?
Idiots.
Idiots? So, do tell.
That's it. I just say, I'm going to give up idiots and onions, because I don't like onions.
You don't like onions.
But it's not hard. I don't like onions, so it's easy. I've never been very good at Lent.
Yeah, I just
I'm good at the Mardi Gras portion.
Yeah, I just found out that Lent ends at midnight on Easter this year. So I'm going to rub one out twice, and it's going to be an oozing victory.
And that's exactly what Jesus meant.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah. In May is International Masturbation Month, and I'm going to do a series of podcasts where I either talk to friends about the subject or I interview some porn stars. And there's a podcast I listen to. It's called The Rialto Report, where they interview porn stars going all the way back to the 60s sometimes, you know? And
That's cool.
these podcasts are very insightful. They're like 90 minutes long in some cases, and they talk about all the dark shit they went through. Because let me tell you something, the porn industry wears its heart on its sleeve, meaning some dark, nasty shit happens behind the scenes as well as on the screen. I mean, drugs,
Yeah.
backstabbing, all the stuff that you hear about Hollywood in general. It wears its heart on its sleeve in the porn industry.
Yeah. I mean, I used to work at Hustler on Sunset, and
Really?
even the time I worked, yeah, it was an interesting peek into the industry, and you know, I grew a respect for the people in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I also felt a lot of I don't know. I felt sorry for a lot of the way that certain people were treated.
Yeah.
And, you know, it made me respect every time you watch a porno and you're like, these are real people and these are the kind of things you have to go through. You know, it just made me look at things differently, in a positive way and in a bad way. Like a little bit of both.
Yeah. So what did you do at the Hustler Club?
I worked at the shop, actually. And
Oh, the shop. Sorry.
I worked quite a few jobs. I either worked barista or the toy area, usually. Toy in the adult area, because we had like a area where everyone could go into, like the coffee shop and then like the apparel area, and then there's a place that you had to be carded, and then you go in, and that's all where all the adult movies and toys are. And usually I was in that section because I was a very good seller of adult toys and movies. They were quite good.
Oh my God! No wonder we get along so well.
Yeah, I mean, usually people would leave with something.
Yeah.
Even people that were like uncomfortable. It was a gift of mine to be able to talk to people of all different kinds of lifestyles or feelings about the stuff, and still be able to find something that's their speed, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Kind of become a therapist too.
Yeah, it's like being a bartender, pretty much.
Yeah. yeah, couples would come in and be like, I really want to try this. How can I get her to do it? And I'm like, you can't get her to do it, but we can talk about safe ways to do it. If she wants to come in, I will talk to her about it.
Yeah, in my early 20s, I spent a lot of time hanging out in those sex shops, and there was this one. I gotta look it up to see if it's still there because everything in San Mateo County is closing because of the fucking tech boom and all that shit. It was called Jaybirds, and it was right across the street from Jack in the Box. And my dad and I, when I was a kid, we'd be at the drive-through at Jack in the Box, and we'd see all these perverts going into the shop, and we'd laugh. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was like, I didn't know that I was going to end up being one of them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, like it's like what was on our shirt when we're hustler girls. It says, "Relax, it's just that." It's solid. Everybody thinks about it. Everybody does it. So,
Yeah. And
it's interesting, but there are some shops that or even like some sex clubs and stuff like that. You're like, ooh, well, that is not my feet.
yeah. And I remember
it's great for you.
Yeah, and I remember going there when I was like 24, 25, and this guy that I went to high school with was working there, right? I was shocked, but not shocked, because he was kind of a strange guy. And I remember I'd be in the computer room when we finally got a computer room at my school. I remember being in there and just like being disruptive by telling dirty jokes to all the guys, and he was like one of them, and he'd be laughing just hysterically and stuff. And then I see him working there, and he was there for a long time, from what I understand. And I was just like, man, fucking, he's living the dream.
It's funny. People think it's probably a lot of fun to work at the shop, but it's not always fun. Not always living the dream.
Oh my God! Speaking of sex and speaking of people I went to high school with, I found out on Facebook you know a guy I went to high school with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cameron Fife.
Oh, let's see. Well, how do I know him? Cameron Fife. It's so weird. Sometimes you know people and you're like, how do I know you? Cameron Fife. And we must have done...
He was in theater.
I don't know how we know each other. How do we know each other?
He was in theater when we were in high school.
We must have done some kind of theater thing together then. I don't know. Weird. It's so weird sometimes. Like, the social media culture, you're like, how do I know? Who do I know?
Yeah.
Oh, he's really good friends with a lot of my good friends. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, I do remember him. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
you went to high school with him?
Yeah, for 2 years, and then he left, and I think he either dropped out or went to another school. I'm not sure, but he would come back and hang out on campus. And that little fucker threw me under the bus a couple times. I told him, back then we didn't have social media. We had AOL Instant Message. I told him about some girls that I had some semi-sexual activity with, and there wasn't screenshotting back then, but he would like send the messages to them and stuff. And I was like, you little fucker, you know?
Oh.
And then that's when I learned... What?
That sucks.
Yeah, that's when I learned never to name names. And good thing I didn't tell him who I lost my virginity to, because otherwise you would have saw me on the news.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I've told that story a couple times the last few months. I don't mind telling it again. But I lost my virginity to my high school guidance counselor.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's very illegal.
Well, I was 18. I had just turned 18 the week before, and it was graduation night. But still, it still would have caused a huge, commotion in the news, had I told him, though. And by that point, I didn't trust him anymore, so I didn't tell him. But oh my God, it was bizarre. It was amazing.
Wow. That's quite a story he probably would have told on you.
Yeah, I will tell you
For
this.
sure.
Yeah, I will tell you this though. I always thought that Cameron was cute.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, I think he was probably he's friends with like a lot of my friends, so he must have met at some party or something. Um, it's weird. I hardly kind of remember meeting him, but now it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
He is weird.
yeah. I would never be attracted to an elf, but he does have this cute little elf-like quality to him.
Well, a lot of people are attracted to elves. A lot. I mean, that's why we have all those elven, like, fantasy films. You know,
Hmm.
speak Elvish. People are very into it. Each his own.
Was your first time interesting?
Probably not. I mean, it was just, my high school, or not my high school, my, like, childhood sweetheart.
Hmm.
It was very, probably typical of everyone. Just, he was a nice guy. I always respect that he was my first because he was such a sweetie. I can't complain. I didn't have a bad one like some people do. Or it was like some, like, prom night in the back of some car and they hated it. It was fine. It was good.
Yeah. Was it one of those three strikes situations where he lasted 30 seconds the first two times, and then the third time he lasted a while?
No, I mean, he did pretty good. It was fine. It was fine. It was, I think I always wanted to wait till somebody I loved, and I was very much in love with him. So it was a great experience. I very much am happy that it was that way. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I had this guidance counselor. She came to my school junior year. I had another one before that, and she was from Texas. She was this pretty petite girl. She was like 30 at the time, and um, by springtime, I was coming into her office like every day after school, and we were engaging in some naughtiness that without making contact, by the way,
Mm.
and that's where it began. And then I didn't expect this to happen senior year at all. After I got back from my graduation party that night, it was just everybody like cleared out, and I lived across the street from the school at that point, and I was just about to go home, and then she comes out of nowhere with a sleeping bag and a couple pillows, and I was just like, oh, I can't believe this. This is awesome. This is like the best graduation ever, you know.
Yeah, that's that's so cool. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some pretty lucky experiences and stuff. Going back to the sex shop thing. Oh my God, this is pretty funny. I've told the story before, but this is pretty funny. There was a sex shop I used to go to, not the same one, but a different one. And there was a girl who worked there. This one night that I went there, she was like 21. I was 25. She was Mexican, and I wanted to go. First, I was looking for a dildo, right? Because I collect dildos, and she helped me get one. And then I wanted to go into the screening room, and watch porn and stuff. So I paid, and I went in there and stuff. And then I came out, and I told her, I said, "Sorry, I made a mess on your screen." And she said, "Oh, I know." And I said, "How do you know?" And she's like, "I was watching on the surveillance, And I was like, there's surveillance in there? And she's like, oh, yeah, 'cause we get guys coming in here and doing heroin, in those screening rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then I said to her, would you like to go out sometime? And she said yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we go out the next week. We go to the Cheesecake Factory. And it was a very awkward dinner, I tell you. Um, we couldn't find anything in common. She just she kept like smiling at me uncomfortably. It was awkward, right? And I remember we went to her car to smoke some weed, and I remember she had bad breath before she started smoking weed, and she had stinky feet. I think in hindsight she may have been a crystal meth head, maybe.
Oh.
Those are the symptoms of a crystal meth head. So we had made plans to go bowling, but it never happened. And then about a year later, I'm on the bus and I see her with a boyfriend, and they're talking Spanish to each other. And I felt really good about it. I was like, good for her. She found her match. It was okay. No,
Yeah.
no harm, no foul. But
Exactly.
it was just one of those scenarios, and I tried to duplicate it. I went to another porn shop, and I tried to do the same situation, and it didn't work the second time. Because I was just
No, it
so,
was a one-time thing.
yeah, I was so blown away about the first time. I was like, I want to see if lightning will strike twice, and it didn't.
Yeah. Not so much, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my God. So before this quarantine happened, were you talking to any guys?
Not that much. A little bit, but not that much. I'm not a huge dater. I'm more of a, I don't know how to describe me. I'm usually like the kind of person that usually ends up with their friends. It's the way it usually is with me. I'm not really good at the apps and stuff and all that. I just kind of work and hang out with people, and I usually meet people that way. And I've been, trying to focus more on my stand-up and getting more shows, and it wasn't really a priority.
Yeah. Oh my God, I envy anyone who can, wind up dating their friends, because I tried it for a long time and it never worked. It came close a few times. Like, there's this girl that I've been friends with since high school. She was a freshman when I was a senior, and we were in advanced drama together for 2 semesters. And I asked her to be my prom date, and her mother wouldn't let her go with me because I was a senior. And then we started hanging out in our 20s again, and after I thought she was like I don't know, she started acting weird toward me after I graduated, and so I distanced myself from her. But then we reunited in our 20s and started hanging out again. And there was a night that I could have had her, but I didn't take that chance. And she's been telling me to this day that I'll never have that chance again.
Oh.
But she loves me. She loves me as a friend, though.
Well, sometimes friends, we all need friends.
Yeah.
Friends are very important, so don't want to turn down a friendship either.
Yeah, don't want to turn it down. But I made the decision after my accident that I was just done with relationships, and I'm focusing on my showbiz career and stuff. I mean, everyone's been telling me about how friendship is such an important role in show business, and it's like, I don't know, I've never been good at friendship, because I'm loyal to people, but in the end, they're not loyal to me back, and I'm very compassionate and giving and stuff, but I just keep getting hurt and stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like that. I have had some bad luck with who I've invested my time in, but I just know that I'm a good person, and I invest in people, and I love people, and it hurts sometimes when it doesn't work out, but for the people that it does work out with, it's awesome that I'm like that, and I'm gonna keep giving myself out there for people, because it's hard to be the other way too. You don't want to be like closed off, and because somebody keeps hurting you, you know. You don't want to be dumb either. You have to kind of learn a little bit, like, that's not where I should invest my time, but...
Yeah. I can tell you it could be extremely difficult in stand-up comedy because there's so much damn jealousy going on.
Yeah, it can. I mean, I will say that the female, it's a little different, I think, for males versus females. I think it's there's a thing about community with women stand-ups, and there's definitely competition. I'm not going to lie that there's competition, but there's a lot of us out there that know how hard it is and want to pump each other up and want to work with each other and want to make sure we're all right and have each other's back. Because it is different for a female comic than it is for a male comic. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes we're not respected as much, and sometimes we get into situations that we need people to have our back. Just like guys probably do too, but it just seems a little bit more with women. So I am lucky that the community of female stand-ups that I surround myself with are very supportive and very nice, and we root for each other, and we compete with each other sometimes, but we root for each other for the majority of it. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah. It's really difficult for me, I'll tell you, because I have no filter on stage and I have no filter off stage. And the women comedians, they see me and they think I really am that guy that I present myself on stage, which I also present myself on this podcast, you know. I just told you, details about my sex life. I don't do that when I'm not podcasting or doing stand-up, I'm just not that guy. But they get uncomfortable, and then, like, rumors start like that, like I'm really a creep or something, and that's what happened to me in the Bay Area, especially after I left when the Me Too movement happened,
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard time to be so bold and honest, and and I understand why some people can take certain things a certain way because they're coming from their experiences, their past, and sometimes we have to adapt a little bit around those people, and that's fair,
Yeah.
It's just everyone's coming from a different place, and there has been a lot of abuse of power and abuse of this kind of language and stuff like that, and so it's like finding the right speed of that and finding the right way of doing it without, I mean, you're going to offend people. It's comedy. People are going to be offended. But being the most respectful that we can to each other, and then also when you find out somebody's not into that kind of thing, just like respecting their boundaries, I think is the best way to do that kind of stuff. But some people are just like, they're going to be uncomfortable, Some people are just that way. And unfortunately, society's kind of made some people that way. And you gotta respect it, unfortunately, because that's the way society made a lot of women, because it was a heyday of a lot of not good stuff for a while. Right?
Yeah.
Not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying that's where people are coming from sometimes when they are just uncomfortable with it,
Do you know who Betsy Salkin is?
Mm-mm.
She's a comedian. She's in her 50s now. She's been doing stand-up since the 80s. She's a friend of mine, and her and I, we disagree on many things, but we're very good friends because we know the depths of who we are and stuff, and that we're good people and stuff. She does not like guy humor and stuff like that, and she knows that that's what I do and that's what I like and stuff, but she does not judge me at all, and the last time she was on, we talked about that for a little bit, and and it just warms my heart, that she's not like a lot of the ones that I've encountered.
Yeah, and that's great when you find it, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard to know why people are the way they are, and they may have a very good reason for being, scared or upset about certain things. Some things are so triggering for people that are triggering for you. And I try to be respectful of that. Like, even I made a joke on Twitter that I thought was coming from a different place than somebody else took it. And when they explained to me their side, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But I totally didn't mean it the way that you took it. I understand why that would be triggering for you. And, I mean, I think comedy is supposed to start those discussions. Comedy is supposed to support those discussions. And I think it's fun to have those discussions as long as people aren't yelling at each other, screaming at each other, whatever. As long as you can just, like, talk to each other and go, okay, well, why do you feel that way? Why does that offend you? And stuff like that. And I think we should adapt and get better with each time that we have that kind of feedback. Okay, why didn't it work for you? Or why didn't it feel comfortable for you? I'd like to know, you know, kind of thing. It makes us better comics, I think, if we're open to hearing what our audience is really feeling about our stuff, you know?
Yeah. I've been out of the loop for a while. Have you seen, like, people getting up in the audience and saying that's not funny to comedians? Because I've been hearing that's been going on a lot lately.
I haven't seen people get up in the audience. From the audience, I have heard people heckle on stuff, but they always, you know, there'll always be a couple hecklers. I mean, for the most part, clubs are really good about getting people to respect the comics and kind of protecting, but, you know, people will say things, but that's just the way it is, you know? Like,
Yeah.
not everyone finds everything funny, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Some people go there specifically for that kind of heckle culture. That's what they enjoy doing, which kind of is sucky, but, you know, I've been lucky enough never to see somebody get aggressive and get on stage or anything like that. I've never actually witnessed that. So,
Oh my God.
I've heard comedians go on a ramble about hecklers or people not liking their stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this radio host in the Bay Area. She's been doing it forever. Her name's Celeste Perry, and I don't know. I didn't know too much about her before I had her on the podcast. I wish I had found out more about her because I just knew her from she's been hosting little promos and stuff on our local UHF stations forever over there, and I saw her on our Creature Feature show, and she was really funny because she does improv comedy. And, oh my God, her and I disagreed. I bit my tongue on a lot of stuff, but I said something that I think kind of pissed her off, you know. She was talking about, you know, the dirty entertainment, the misinformation. She thinks that podcasts should be regulated by the FCC, and she was glad that the government cut back funding on most cable access stations because she says there's nothing more than a bunch of no talents creating content without paying their dues, right? And I said to her, did it ever, I quoted the George Carlin line, I said, did it ever occur to you that there's two knobs on the TV or the radio, you know? And she laughed, but I can tell she was pissed because after I posted that interview, she did not acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think personally for me that it's great that everyone has an avenue to express themselves, and it's not always so easy to pay your dues. I mean, I've been paying my dues out here as an actor and comedian and stuff for a long time, and I have lots of friends that are paying their dues, so to speak, in these different arenas, but sometimes you're not from here, you can't move here, you can't do this, and the only way you have is to amplify your voice, to amplify your art is a microphone in your basement or something like that. And I think it's great that we have those avenues now, that we have YouTube, that we have Instagram Live, and we have TikTok or whatever it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great because it's not always available to everybody to come out here and grind. You know, like,
Yeah.
It's not. And I don't hate competition.
Yeah.
You know, there are some days I hate it, but for the most part, you know, I understand that there's room for us all, and we'll find our space when it's right. You know.
All you gotta do is keep trying. I want to see you succeed and keep going.
Thank you.
I would love to. I mean, the power of YouTube. That I started this podcast. I got my YouTube account in 2007, and for 10 years I had no content, and now I've had more content on there than I ever dreamed. And one of the great
Yeah.
things about doing it is making a friend like you who's out there, grinding in Los Angeles and
Yeah.
does some great work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
Of
it's great.
course.
That's the thing, is like making your own content brings people into your life that you never knew that you could. And tonight it's great to have allies online.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, like I listened to Ben St. Clair's interview on Mark Maron yesterday. What a success story that guy has. He
Yeah.
after college, he went out to LA for like half a year and couldn't get arrested. And after he got fired from his waiting job, he was like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." So he went to New York and created the show High Maintenance. It was on YouTube first. Now HBO owns it. I mean, that's a success story.
It is, and you got to keep making stuff, and and that is also paying your dues. That is creating content and doing stuff like that. That is the way the new way of paying your dues, and that's a new way of creating your own chances and experiences and opportunities. And I love that, because as a person that has been in the industry since they were 3 years old, a lot of it was not in my hands. It was a lot of waiting around for other people to make decisions about your life and about your passions and about your art. And now I can go, yeah, you can go over there and try to make deals and stuff for me, but I'm also going to make stuff and decisions on my own, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I can imagine, though, that this quarantine has hurt you financially.
Yeah, I mean, just like everybody else, there was a lot of gigs that were coming up that are postponed. I'm not going to say canceled. I'll just say postponed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel it. You find different avenues of making money. Like I've been meaning to clean out my house and sell some of these like collectibles that I didn't want anymore. There's nothing more motivating than sitting in your house all the time to get you to clear out and put stuff online to sell. You're like, I can't look at it anymore. I have to put it up. So I've been finding different places, ways to do that. And like VO is still open. Voiceover stuff is still open, which is nice.
Yeah.
You have to adapt. You just roll with the punches and figure out what the next step is. What can I do right now?
Oh, I've been talking to...
And I'm used to rolling with the punches and adapting anyway.
Of course, we all do.
Yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of voiceover people lately. It is the greatest gift to the industry. If you can't make it in acting or something else, you become a voiceover artist.
Yeah, or it supplements, or it's part of it. Like voiceover is such a amazing area to know how to do, to know how to get into, to have that as an option. Because in these creative careers, we have to know how to do so many more things, because you never know. Like predicaments like we're in now, where you have no option but to like maybe do voiceover or submit for this, and it's good to have your ducks in a row and have that as an option.
Yeah. I don't think you'll ever hear about a voiceover artist having a Me Too experience, because they go to the studio naked.
Yeah, and they usually have their studio in their house a lot of times, unless they're on like some major production.
Yeah.
Which is also great.
Well, it's funny, when they have guest stars on The Simpsons and they don't live in L.A., they back then they used to go to them, but now they do it via Skype or something now, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you get really into you get really into like the big time stuff, they actually have this, I think it's Source Connect or something, and it costs a lot of money for it to get installed and stuff. But if you're making that much money, basically it's like a direct link to these big studios from your house. So that's how a lot of stuff is happening now too. You know, like some of these bigger stars are, you know, they can live wherever they want in the world, and then they send it off, and it's great quality because they have a full studio, you know, in their house or wherever.
Yeah. There's a director I'm friends with who's a horror director. His name's Harrison Smith. He lives in Pennsylvania. He moved to Pennsylvania once he started getting established and making movies in Hollywood, low-budget horror movies. He moved to Pennsylvania, and he's got a podcast he does over there. It's pretty damn funny. He's a funny guy. He's always making... He should have been a comedian. He makes these long rants about things that pisses him off, about horror movies and just everything in general. Like the other day, he made one about how, you know, celebrities are jumping on the video bandwagon, the video bandwagon during this quarantine time, and he was just so pissed off, ranting about it and saying, you know, yeah, you're not going to be doing this, you know, once quarantine is over, you know, you're just doing this to you're just doing this to stay relevant, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, but or it becomes so successful and whatever, you continue on with it. I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Who knows what's gonna last after?
Yeah, he's a very funny guy. Yeah, his podcast is called Cinema with a Y, and it's on YouTube. Yeah, he's a funny guy. I was curious, where do you get your free-spirited, open-mindedness and sense of humor from? Are your parents like that?
My mom is definitely. She's definitely the open-minded, funny. She's funny as hell. Kind of person. My dad was a little bit more traditional. He was more of a he had artistic aspirations, but figured they weren't very practical. Mm-hmm. He was more like a practical kind of dude. So it's very funny that they were together for so long because they have such different views on the world. But yeah, my mom is a favorite among my friends, especially too. They're like, your mom is so cool. I mean, you're cool too, but your mom is so cool. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I get it.
Both of my parents are the same, very open-minded, free-spirited. They were hippies, you know, in their day, and I inherited that from them. My mom, you know, she's not easily offended, but she believes that vulgarity has a time and a place, you know, and sometimes we'll be in public, like we'll be at a convention or something, right? And you know, I'm friends with, you know, a lot of the guests that are there because they've been guests on my podcast, or I talk to, you know, the vendors or what have you, you know, and they're very free-spirited and open-minded people too. And I will pontificate and say something inappropriate, and my mom will just be looking like, oh my God, did you have to say that now and stuff? I'm like, Mom, you can't offend these people. They're free spirits like we are, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so many people, I mean, I think my mom used to have more of she was a free spirit about, like, who you are and arts and stuff, and I think language-wise, she wasn't as, like, into me cursing as much, and I broke her down over the years because I just have a potty mouth.
Yeah.
So, she now is used to it, and now Steven says stuff, and I'm like, what? But she was never judgmental about it. She was more like, I don't know, like, oh, well, maybe, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to curse at a priest or anything.
A priest.
I might curse every once in a while. I try not to curse around children, you know.
of course, we don't do that.
Yeah. I try to watch my mouth. I say funny things like fudge or...
Yeah. Oh, God, I tried to get Laura Summer, who did the voice of Janine in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, I tried to get her to say fuck in a plug for my podcast, and she said, no, I'll say fudge, because that's what Janine would say. And I'm like, yeah, but this is, 30-something years later, and this is, adult-oriented. She's like, still, I'm more comfortable saying fudge, right? And then she never got to record it. We both got busy and forgot about it. So I got to remind her next time I talk to her.
That's funny.
Yeah. There was a nun that I knew growing up. She was not a nun in her personal life at all. She drank, she swore, she had sex with anybody she wanted. And
Wow.
I found out about this when I was 16. She came to visit, and I said fuck. She asked me, how school was and stuff, and I was like, oh, there's all this fucking stuff going on. Oh, I'm so sorry, sister. And she was like, oh, fuck it. And I was like, sister, I can't believe you said that. She's like, yeah, why do you think I'm not in... She's like, why do you think I'm not in California anymore? That's why I'm not at the parish anymore, because they found out about who I really was, and stuff. I was like, really? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And then she came to stay with us when my grandmother died. She helped out with the funeral and everything. And on the last night she was there, I gave her a foot massage, and we were just having a conversation that went on for a while, and some swearing took place and everything. And I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm having this moment with this nun. You know what I mean? She was like,
yeah.
She was like in her late 40s at the time, and then a couple months later, she died of cancer. And I miss her. I miss Sister Gail. She was the best.
That's so sad.
She would be a huge fan of this podcast if she was alive.
Oh, I'm sure she would. Sounds like a cool nun.
Yeah, she was a rarity, once in a lifetime lady. She was a complete hippie and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to know somebody like that, because none of the nuns I knew were that cool.
Yeah. What would you say is your best personality trait?
That's hard. I don't know. Like, I think my humor or my acceptance of people. I don't know. Is that a trait? That might be a trait.
Yeah, I think mine is my sense of empathy, and I've told that to a couple of guests of mine, and they said, yeah, I agree that you do have great empathy. You're always curious as to what the person is doing. You're genuinely interested, that they told me, I agree. I think it is. It's one of my better qualities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish I could go outside now, I wish I could go to the store, but I can't. This is just the most horrible and boring thing that could ever happen to this world.
Yeah, but we're going to figure it out. We're all going to come out of it great. And, well, not all of us, but, we're going to all try as a society to be good to each other and kind to each other during this hard time, and try to connect in different ways. Which, that's all we can do. It is very weird.
I worry about my dad, because he's still got work going on. He works, for the city in Washington, in Marysville, and I'm just afraid he's going to catch something. I haven't asked him yet. I haven't had time, because every time I want to call my dad, he never picks up the phone because he's working or he's tired from working. I want to ask him if he's got a mask and everything, and gloves, because I don't want him to catch it,
Yeah. Well, I hope he does not. Hope all your family and friends stay safe, because it's crazy times.
It sure is. And Yeah, so what are you going to do next?
Next, in general,
In,
in life,
in general, yeah.
I'm just trying to create more content while I'm in this new kind of way of staying home. Still rocking all the different podcasts that I do. We're still taping my true crime podcast remotely, and one more drink as well. Because we can do it remotely, and we're going to keep making content. So for now, that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, I've been on a diet since January because I had my physical end of November, and I went back in December to get my blood test results and stuff. I was just on the cusp of pre-diabetes, and I've lost 24 pounds since January. Um,
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. I got a long, long way to go though. But it's funny. I'm a coffee addict. I drink coffee constantly, but I don't put sugar in it anymore because of that, you know. But I'm just I hope my blood sugar is still okay drinking, you know, coffee without the sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I mean, I don't like coffee, so.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I've gotten used to it in later years and stuff. It all depends though on what kind of roast you have. There's this roast that my mom gets from Starbucks. It's called like breakfast blend or something. It is so yummy tasting, so smooth, yummy tasting. I mean, it tastes like, you know, coffee, but there's just something so yummy about it that it really has to be tasted in order to understand why.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I will take your word for it because I am not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
It tastes gross.
You don't even drink like a frappuccino from Starbucks?
Oh no, I don't like coffee at all in any form.
You a Coca-Cola person if you need to wake up?
I just usually have a cup of tea in the morning, and that's about it.
Does that wake you up though?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually like I usually am pretty even keeled with my energy. I don't usually need like a jolt of something. I'm like a water and tea drinker. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom drinks a lot more tea now than she did when she was younger. She's gotten me into it a little bit too, you know. But like
Yeah.
caffeine's my biggest problem though with coffee, and I drink Diet Pepsi now. I haven't been drinking any Pepsi with sugar since this diagnosis, so
Yeah. Well, stay healthy.
I will. I will. I eat lots of fruit now. I don't eat any candy, although I am going to eat candy for Easter. You know, we went to the store and got all this Easter candy because we know that if we don't get it now, it could be gone, and we probably couldn't be able to go to the store by the time Easter hits. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm probably gonna do a store run this week, even though yeah,
Got
I can go to the store every once in a while, so I'm gonna go to the store probably this week.
the Reese's peanut butter eggs and the Cadbury eggs and stuff. We got all that stuff.
Mhm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Hey, I got a couple jokes for you.
Okay.
By the way, do you have any jokes for me?
Not currently.
Okay. You know the difference between a golf ball and a G spot?
No.
A man will take 20 minutes to find the golf ball.
That's pretty funny.
And it's true too. But I'm a rare exception.
Sure.
Okay, this is so bad. You're probably gonna have to do a hashtag Me Too after this.
Oh god.
How do you make your wife scream twice?
How?
First you fuck her in the ass, and then you wipe your dick on the curtain.
Oh. Oh. No.
A female comedian told me that one, and I just died. I just was rolling. I couldn't help myself. My stomach was hurting after I heard that.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. And gross. Very, very gross.
By the way, what's your writing process when you write material? Like, do you like set aside at least a half an hour to do it?
No, I actually just usually write stuff down as it comes to me. And then every once in a while I'll have like a session with some of my friends where we try material on each other.
Nice.
Yeah.
I used to set aside at least a half hour to do it. Now I just whenever I get a funny thought, I write it down and that's it. I just don't have the time to come up with material.
Yeah, I just write down different concepts, and then every once in a while you just kind of try them out.
Mm-hmm. Well, Anastasia, this was a lot of fun like usual, and
it was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I just love talking to you. It's like, we could have been besties growing up.
I know. It's good to talk to you, and I'm very excited that we got to make it work even during the apocalypse.
Yes. And I'll let you know when my next trip to LA is. We'll hang out.
Yeah.
You'll like my mom. She's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to meet her.
Yes. Okay, hon. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and keep yourself away from boredom.
I will try. You too. And keep yourself healthy and safe.
Absolutely. I got one more week left.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Anastasia Washington. Ain't she a sweetheart? I just love Anastasia. She's a lot of fun. She's the real deal. I love her. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!